Warning. The following contains ramblings of a mad lad. The boy Blue 42 does not own any of the following intellectual properties. All the rights reserved to their original owners. For they have more money, I mean they have better lawyers than he does. Spoiler alerts are advised.
And now, back to...
Oh, no!
Not again!
We're about to do
Tier listing.
aren't we?
Let's just get through this.
ReZero. This is the first anime that truly fucked me up. I love ReZero. Love it. Love every bit of it. It's August 2020. Ebert goes ahead and sauces me ReZero because the second season was coming out at this time. So I was like, alright, I might as well see what it's about. So I strap in for just the mad lad late night binge it. Watch the first episode. Technically, it's the second because I was an idiot and didn't realize that ReZero actually has an episode 0. So I was kind of confused, but it didn't matter because Subaru gets offed right a fucking way and then he gets Groundhog Day to a previous save point, and I was just completely taken in at that moment. This thing is a goddamn masterpiece in every sense of the word. I just want to see more of it. White Fox knows how to tell a story. I fully trust them with ReZero for the future whenever they decide to go back to ReZero within the next decade. And Beetlejuice makes my brain tremble. One of the best depictions of insanity in the media anywhere. And also, what a way to fucking introduce your antag. Like, hats off to you guys. ReZero knows how to make a homie act up. S tier. Oh my god, I just want to graze her cheeks! You know, after their 4-year hiatus, there was some concern that ReZero's second season, but it was only about 2 weeks for me, so I had zero concerns about it. Because again, this thing's another fucking banger. The great story continues, the world's lore expands, and we get everybody's favorite big titty goth GF who doesn't give a shit about your well-being. But again, I'm a pure masochist. I don't even care about my own well-being. Also, this is how you do anime. Damn near half-hour episodes, full-blown, tits out, balls to the wall, non-stop, full-frontal content. No intro, barely any outro. This definitely got me hyped for ReZero. Also, Roswell becomes an absolute Chad in the second season, just like we all knew he was. Second season, easy S tier. ReZero Break Time Shorts 1 and 2. These elaborate a little more on the ReZero world lore, but are mostly used to portray the inner thoughts of ReZero characters and others behind the scenes. Also, you got Tiny Amelia, and you know, you can't go wrong with Tiny Amelia. B tier. Still haven't seen the rest of part 2 yet. ReZero Frozen Bonds. This is the second movie and it follows Amelia's quiet life in the woods following her unthawing. To me, this is legitimately ReZero's movie because all the energy and feels from that first season are in here in the movie. And it's really sad to see Amelia all alone with nobody but Puck by her side due to her silver hair half-elf nature. B tier.
I am yet on a mission. A secret mission that I have to execute without being noticed by anyone.
Not bad though. ReZero Memory Snow. This is a bridge between the Mansion arc and the Royal Selection in the first season. It's Subaru's great triumph, his date with Amelia. And to me, this just really feels out of place. Like, ReZero is a really dark and impactful anime, but this just feels way more slice of life and just way more, like, lighthearted. Maybe if I watched this in between the arcs in the anime, I would have felt different about it, but nope, didn't. Hell, I watched Frozen Bonds before I ended up watching this thing, but fuck it, B tier. Repiet. This is the legitimate precursor to Isekai Quartet. It's basically the characters of ReZero in our world living life as best as they can, and it has its moments along with its tiny Amelia, so I gotta give this thing B tier. Record of Ragnarok. Going back to college in the fall, Eber and Jack hit me with, bro, you gotta read the Record of Ragnarok manga, dude, because it's fucking lit. And I'm not much of a manga dude. I would actually rather see it animated than to have to read it in black and white. So, you know, I'm the worst kind of weeb. But when I heard it was getting an anime adaptation, it became one of my most anticipated anime of 2021, right next to Shield Hero and World's End Harem. Yeah, 2021 Shield Hero and World's End Harem.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
What can I say? I'm just programmed different. Before I even saw the anime, I saw Humanity's lineup and thought, damn, Humanity is kind of fucking stacked. Now, I'm aware of some people's gripes against this show, that the fight scenes are just glorified Dragon Ball Z fight commentaries, but you need some context to these guys and to the gods' lore because you could use the pre-existing knowledge of ancient mythology, or you could completely make up your own with some interesting plot twists on long repeated stories, which is the path Record of Ragnarok decides to take. Also, let's get one thing clear here. Femboy Adam should have won his fight. He fought the better fight and didn't win only because he wasn't divine. That's a weak-ass excuse for saying you needed to put humanity into an O2 hole right out the gate. But then again, I guess it was too Chad to be left alive. A tier.
フレア、俺の棒かこの棒か、好きな棒を選ばせてやるよ。
Ah yes, revenge porn the anime. Why don't we put a dark and ecchi twist on the go back in time and relive your life plotline in anime? That's basically the selling point of Redo of Healer. And at first, I thought this was just way too much degeneracy, not enough plot, but upon rewatching this, I no longer think that's the case. I do like how the world actually reacts to Kierga tampering with the timeline, so it's not completely 100% the world that he remembers. But again, this show truly is based B tier. Remake our lives. Ah yeah, speaking of which, you know how you want to go back in time and change things in your life knowing what you know now? Yeah, that's basically the show. Also, the sheer power you need to completely dick over the platinum generation that you idolized? Bruh, behold my supreme power indeed. Yeah, really trying to find something further to elaborate on. Oh yeah, I got completely destroyed by the other anime that also took the exact same concept in the exact same season on the exact same day too. C tier. Rent a Girlfriend. This is just really a nice show to watch. I've seen this thing legitimately 4 times, and yet I still enjoy it every single time. It's just soul anime, bro. It's just good for your soul. Also, you may be lonely, but you never had to pay someone to be your girlfriend. Also, there's something just so entertaining about a train wreck that you just can't look away and you just want to see more of what happens. So maybe that's why I want to keep watching Rent a Girlfriend. On a closing note, I've seen this thing 4 times, and I still don't know if Chizahara actually likes Kazuya. I'm well aware of the Baka trope, and there's some serious reason to doubt it here, but I just want to tip my caps to the director and especially the voice actress herself. Like, I just don't actually know if she likes this guy or not. It's phenomenal work. Great job all around. You guys totally deserve an ovation. A tier anime. Restaurant to Another World. First time I watched this show, I watched it with the homies, and we just meme the shit out of this thing, because it's really easy to meme it when you make the food description sound sensual as fuck. Yet, I went back this year just to see how good it is, and actually, I'm not a huge food guy. Like, I've been recommended Food Wars, but never really interested me enough to watch it, and the food aspect of Restaurant to Another World doesn't do it for me. What does do it for me is the fact that they basically do world building through all the interactions from the patrons that come in to the restaurant. That's what I like most about Restaurant to Another World, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one who liked this. C tier. Restaurant to Another World second season. You know, since Restaurant to Another World falls into the C tier trap, that means of course I saw the second season. And I'm even less impressed with the second season. I think it has to do with the fact that the concept is no longer new and fresh, and it really becomes a challenge to innovate a box, so to speak. I know Ibra hit the fat dip on this one, and I honestly don't blame him for it either. At least it recovered a little bit at the very end of the season. But yeah, this thing definitely deserves C tier. The selling point for me on this show, I kid you not, was this is Hitler Lolly anime. And I'm kind of a history guy myself, so of course, I enjoy myself some Saga of Tiny the Evil. I mean, I like the historical parallels to our world, and it's not just World War I or World War II. Bro, make up your mind, it's confusing me. But also the parallels to, like, our world's history, like how the Romanian kingdom in Tiny the Evil is actually named the Dacian Empire after the ancient people who actually lived there in our timeline. That said, for a major global war, 8 years of war is a very long time, especially from the position of Germany and fighting on 3 fronts for around 6 years of it, while being at war against the world's most premier naval power, blocking you in. But that's enough applying historical precedent to this thing. Still, I like Tiny the Evil. It's about as close to a legit war anime as I can get right about now. B tier.
素晴らしい。なんと可憐なのだ。たまらなくたぎる。あれが欲しい。世界費でも欲しい。Hey, phrasing!
This thing's so much better than the first season. Huge points for the Soviet Union and all the parallels that they bring in, along with this sick-ass fight at the very end around Königsberg, dude. This thing is fucking dope as fuck to watch. Truly the apex of animated Saga of Time of the Evil right now. A tier. Saga Tiny the Evil OVA. Much like Memory Snow, I kind of feel that Tiny the Evil's OVA is very uncharacteristic for what we've seen so far. It's just low octane, and it doesn't go as hard in the paint as the season actually does. However, it does indeed live up to the small side story that OVAs usually end up teaching anyway. C tier. Sakugan. So the selling point for this show was that it was supposed to be like Decadence combined with Made in Abyss, but that's not how I would describe it. Instead, what I would describe this is like the misadventures of Cowboy Bebop in the world of Made in Abyss, with the dialogue of Odd Taxi and the two main character dynamic of like Decadent. Despite the raving comparisons I'm using here, you really don't run into any kaiju, and the side adventures are kind of average, and your mystery full-on slaps you on the side of your head when it wants to make its presence actually known. It's really only the character interactions that truly makes this thing pop for you, so I'm gonna have to give this thing C tier.
そう慌てんなよ、お嬢さん。そうだよな。つれえだろうな。長いこと旅してきて、到着の寸前で全て台無しになっちまうんだから。
God damn it, it doesn't matter. A minor character in a show that's 15 years old. I'm so sick of finding Dio in my anime, dude. He's legit everywhere. This thing is like the B-grade Cowboy Bebop. It has some sick-ass fight scenes that really make you want to watch the next episode, but it can also be really grindy at moments too. And sometimes you can just feel that you're being just dragged along. Still, I think I gotta give Samurai Champloo C tier.
なんだこれ。なんなんだよ。マイン、なんでお前そんなこと。俺たち仲間じゃ。
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
The show is based. This thing is
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
like the flip between world building, character development, fight scenes, storytelling, and backstory is insane. The perfect mix. Just when you're sick of one, you're hit with the other. The story of Shield Hero can also be dark and fucked at times, making the viewing experience all that much more pleasurable to watch. Also, it doesn't have just one, but two fucking bawling openings. All hail one of anime's best girls in Raftalia. And since I'm a sound whore, I found out a little bit of what is to come in Shield Hero, and on God, is it going to be good. Literally, cannot go tits up. Come on, man. I've waited like the good little weeblet I am for all of 2021 for this thing, bro. Please, no more delays. I don't think my hype can handle it. Give me that second season. A tier. I'm a spider, so what? This thing can be divided in two halves for me. The half that came out in winter, and the half that came out in spring. In the winter, the B plot was irrelevant, boring, legitimately drags down the entire hype of that A plot. Because the A plot was the one that was cracked out of its mind in winter, and what you came to see week in and week out. Oh yeah, I started watching this thing in spring, not actually winter, but you still get my point. Then we get to the second part that actually dropped in spring, and this is where Spider's B-plot finally elevates itself to compete on the A-plot's level, while the A-plot continues to keep them good times rolling. The winter half is C tier, while the spring half is easily A tier, so you know what? I think I can definitely put this thing in B tier and not feel too guilty about it. Sunny Boy. So the selling point for me on this one was the fact that there's this animator in anime who's a comparable mad lad to yours truly, who works on a ridiculous number of anime, and he wanted to do one himself. So he pulled a lot of strings in anime to get this thing animated, and I was like, you know what, from one mad lad to another,
Show me what you got!
what I got was like a mystery on par with Monogatari wrapped in like Lord of the Flies along with like Lost vibes. Bruh, this show is weird, and I genuinely mean it. It's like watching Boogie Pop and the others all over again for the first time. But what is most important to talk about is that on the last week of December, I think it was like the 28th, I saw that they fixed episode 3 so you could finally watch Sunny Boy. So like the mad lad I am, I had to bum rush the show at the very end of the year, and I got it in just under the bell. But you know what? I'm gonna have to give this thing C tier. Suppose a kid from the... What? Didn't Suppose a Kid from the Boonies started in Starter Town or whatever? Bro, I don't even remember the name. Go home past me. You're drunk. Suppose a kid from the last dungeon Boonies moved to a Starter Town. But yeah, I was so over this name because this was just your stereotypical anime. And after a few episodes, I was like, I'm gonna drop this thing. Not as hard as I was going to drop Hinzia Saga, but I kind of wrestled with it and nearly went back to this thing at the end of the year or later on in the year, but in the end I just couldn't. It was just meh. It wasn't the anime for me by any means. D tier. Sword Art Online second season. Before I started the Mad Lad, I wanted to finish SAO so I didn't have it weirdly roll over into the Mad Lad, but like most times I try to fight anime won. So I guess I gotta do SAO's second season and only the few episodes from the second season. But you bastards know what time it is. It's story time with your boy Blue. I was told Gun Girl was the best arc of SAO, and since I heard it was in the second season, I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch the first 2 seasons. Hit episode 3 in the first season, and near the end of the episode, I'm blindsided by one of the most memorable moments in all of anime for me. It's right after Kirito gets his first party killed, because he's anime pro tag and higher level than everybody else, so you need some COD skill-based matchmaking to nerf his ass. And at the end of his failed dream to get him back, he goes back to the inn at the end of the episode and gets a message from one of his party members who had a crush on him, Ooh Woo. She's like, if you get this message, we're probably already dead. I looked at your stats one night and you're way more OP than us. And all in all, it's a really gloomy message. But then she realizes, oh hey, it's Christmas, you're supposed to be happy, and does this. Spine chilling. Really encapsulates the fact that if you die in the simulation, you die for real. And how hopeless the average casual gamer must be in this world. It also helps that it's delivered by my golden goddess herself, but that's besides the point. So that was enough ammunition to propel me through the rest of the whole series until the whole world crashes and burns like Kobe, dude, what the fuck? I would rather be hit with the trope 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000 than be sucked out of the ride. God, Sword Art Online sucks. That said, Gun Girl was a breath of fresh air for this show. I loved the like Blade Runner Fallout-esque vibe that it had going on, and it really is one of the best parts of SAO. And it was enough to get me through the rest of the season.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Shit, you right. What I have to talk about instead is the very end of the Asuna arc. And don't get me wrong, Asuna totally deserves an arc, but it just wasn't as epic as the arcs Kirito usually gets. It also doesn't help that the bridge between Gun Girl and Asuna's arc reminded me of how fucking ass this franchise actually is. No wonder why I love Full Dive. But for what I've seen for the Mad Lad, I'm gonna give this thing D tier. Tawa on Monday. You know how there's big titty bitches all over in anime? Yeah, well, why don't we make that the whole show itself? And this is an absolutely delectable slice of life 5-minute shorts. I can't wait for the whole anime industry to follow this pattern and get absolutely nothing done. This is some quality eki. The shit I wish Gumbare Duki-chan was. I had to blow through this because when I first saw it, I watched the first episode of its second season and went, oh crap, this is its second season, and had to go back and watch the entire first, but yes. B tier. Tawa on Monday too. This is even more turned than the first season. The first season was just like casual teasing, but this is just pure temptation. It's just asking you to do it. Glad this became my final anime on Sundays because I love this shit. B tier. This is a truly based franchise. When the hell are you guys dropping Gleipnir's second season? Speaking of teasing, we got ourselves Teasing Master Takagi-san. I'm really sure I found the genre for me. I watched the big teasing animes in reverse order, Nagatoro, Uzaki, and then Takagi, which also happens to be the exact same order for masochism, from highest intensity to lowest intensity. This thing really does fall into the C tier trap. Like, there just really wasn't anything in this for me to keep watching, and yet somehow I watched the entirety of this first season. The only thing I could remotely think of later on was that Takagi actually is clearly best girl, and much like Banished from the Heroes Party, sometimes you just want to watch the best girl be best girl, and that's especially true in the second season. Also, my boy Nishikata is so easy for Takagi to read. It's because this dude doesn't even just like wear his emotions on his sleeves. No, he wears them all over his body while he's going like streaking butt naked through the quad. Literally, everybody can see how Nishikata squirms at his attempts to outduel Takagi. I think this is like the perfect show that defines what my borderline is for me to keep watching. And, you know, I thought I was going to get some masochism out of this show, but no, I got cute, lighthearted teasing. Yeah, C tier. Teasing Master Takagi-san's second season. Of course, this is a romance anime, so she only picks on him because, you know, she secretly likes him. But Nishikata is denser than your densest rom-com protag. And in the second season, he finally gets a clue. There's finally this wee bit of doubt in his mind that maybe, just maybe, Kagi actually does like him. And that he no longer has this like preconceived notion that she's always trying to foil his schemes. There's now legitimate doubt in his mind that she's going after him for him and not to outsmart his schemes. This thing, still C tier. God damn it, give me the third season. That time I was reincarnated as a slime's second season. In my opinion, in the first season, right after the Orc Lord fight, the whole show tanked. Like, I still came back every few months for the OVAs because that was the right amount of slime for the right amount of time. But I just feel like slime in its first season just peaked way too soon. So when the second season dropped, I had a lot of skepticism going back into it. But that shit was short-lived. Slime was back, baby! Slime in its first half was fire. Totally redeemed itself in my eyes. I love it when the external players finally make their moves and the international politics of slime as compared to like Rimuru side story. It's also nice to see that Rimuru may be not as broke as we thought he was, and that he can actually be put into precarious situations that could actually result in him losing his own life. Again, it held it in its first half, but then it fell off again at the start of the second half. Like, why are you taking half an hour in the peace screen of Hearts of Iron trying to like settle this peace negotiation so you don't get border gore so it actually looks nice? It's like cock and ball torture just to get through those first few episodes, bro. Just get me to Dio, bro. It's just too much build up. At least it was still hyped to end its second season. B tier. The Aquatrope on White Sand. One episode wonder, baby. Put it in the tier. Watched the first episode with Ibra, and I told him a couple times through it that I was like, bro, this is boring. This really is boring. And it was like, only at the end of episode 1 was it like kind of cool, but it was like, bruh, I sat through a lot of boring just to get one cool part. Nah, this ain't it, Chief. The detective is already dead. Hopped into this thing because the synopsis actually sounded interesting, and the first episode was really intriguing. Not to mention, Subaru and Rezeal is actually a chronological fan of Detective is Already Dead, and hell, I even have photo evidence to back it up. That said, this was awful. For the hype it had, it just laid an absolute egg. Whether the manga really is that bad, or the creative cast behind this anime just messed up in its storytelling, it was just bad. Another selling point for me on the show was that this was like bunny girl level of conversation. And when the kid asked if like the MC and Siesta are married, like that's my legitimate question too. Dude, you guys come off as a married couple of like 40 or 50 years, not people who are like maybe actually dating. I'm not getting the quality convos that I'm getting from Bunny Girl Senpai. I'm getting like till death do us part vibe. Also, the story just gives you so much whiplash. Like first the detective is alive, then she's dead, then she's alive, then dead again. Also, how is this guy free in one episode and then like in jail the next? Who the hell is this bitch? Who the hell's the chameleon? Like, they never elaborate on these characters at all. Awful storytelling. Maybe Subaru does have shit taste in manga. C tier. The Devil is a Part-Timer. This is the first time I went to Nick for recommendations, and he sauces me this reverse isekai. Legit, this is the precursor to what Jahi will be. Well, in anime at least. I mean, it's like Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's like a slice of life isekai in a way. I definitely did enjoy this thing. Can't wait for that second season whenever it decides to drop within the next 2 years. B tier.
いい天気だ。暴風雨の中、傘を差し会社へと向かうサラリーマンたち。通勤ラッシュで呼吸もままならない電車内。ボン族どもは朝から大変だ。やったやったぞ俺はついに完全なるニートセレブプロニートになった The Dungeon of Black Company. This show is off its nut. This was like Asoba said stupid. The show itself is like capitalism Terminator isekai, carried by one of the most cracked out protag in the game in Neomia. This was an absolute treat. This might just be isekai trash, but this is the hottest burning, most beautiful dumpster fire you've ever seen. This thing is too based not to be put in B tier. The Faraway Paladin. This show is seriously a bell curve. Early on, it's like an insufferable grind, just taking real careful care of
crafting its world and story, but for me, this was like my 120th exposition. And at that point, I think I just got sick of it. Like, I'm just tired of seeing exposition. I want to be hit with like inciting incident and rising action, bro. I don't want to be hit with exposition. Then for like 5 to 10 minutes, it finally hits its peak where it's like, holy shit, this is cool as fuck. I'm so glad I went this far into the show to see it happen. And then right after that, it just returns back to its low. Like, this thing is the definition of a bell curve. I mean, this thing screams C tier trap to me.
はい、フクロウさん。僕が歌うの？子猫ちゃん、愛しい子猫ちゃん、なんて可愛らしいんだろう。
Damn, this dude actually has a good singing voice. You should subscribe to his YouTube channel. The Duke of Death in his maid. This was coming off the heels of Nagatoro, and looking at the poster, I thought, you know, this might be Diet Nagatoro. Let's keep that masochism rolling for another 3 months. But they are few and far between in this show. What I got hit with instead was a show that I legitimately think got animated better in each episode as it went along. This is a solid slice of life romance, and it always was worth coming back to every single week. It was just an oddly satisfactory feeling that you got just watching this thing. I'm also surprised this thing's getting a second season. I didn't think the anime community was giving it such a huge outcry of support, but you know what? You totally have my support. I'm totally interested to see where the second season goes. Totally down and totally looking forward to it. B tier. You rolled a nat 1 in D&D Colorized. The Fruit of Evolution. This is the first isekai I've seen that I literally thought to myself, bro, I'm watching isekai trash. But I was in for the entire ride because, you know, nothing else good came out on Mondays for fall, and I needed something to unwind with when I got back from work, and Fruit of Evolution's just sheer stupidity was enough for me to unwind to. C tier. The great Jahi will not be defeated. I thoroughly enjoyed Jahi. Like, how she consistently got dicked down in this new world, despite having the sheer determination to keep trying again, no matter how many times she failed. Also, the pub owner for being just the embodiment of kindness and supporting Jahi whenever she needed it. Sheer best girl. I really do want to give the pub best girl for 2021. However, just after the fight with the magic girl, Jahi just, like, falls off a cliff in terms of entertainment. Like, the tension the show had vanishes. The whole atmosphere changes. This truly is a bruh moment. However, the way the season ended, it put some tension back on that line. But at this point, either the line's going to snap and I'm going to downgrade Jahi, or I'm going to tire myself out and I'm going to be dragged along for the entire ride. I still think this thing deserves B tier though, but this might be one of those shows that it takes like a whole lot for me to actually go back to. Like, I'm going to need to psych myself up just to watch a show all over again.
今の発言を取り消せ！取り消さないと！
This is still the best slap in all of anime. The power behind it, the impact blow, the moment of suspense afterwards. Picture perfect. The hero is overpowered but overly cautious. I see this in Isekai Quartet. Watch it, get about 5 episodes in and like, I'm not all that interested in it. Sure, it has its moments.
Oh, 6
but I think I'll hit the dip. Only to come back to it in July because I wanted to go back and see a show that I dropped to see if it was better or just as worse as it was. Like, I just wanted to go back to one of the shows I dropped and see, is it as bad as I remember it being? And I think it was between this and like Starter Town for shows I came back to. And I'm so glad I went back to this one. This show is memey as fuck. Has some high quality reaction faces in it. Despite all this, I still gotta stick this thing in C tier. But you know what? This thing can definitely flirt with being B tier. This thing had a second season, it may flirt with B tier. But then again, I don't really know how you do a second season from the way the first ended. The Honorific at Magic High. Another 1 episode Wonder Baby. Put it in the tier list. I only watched it because Eva was watching it, and I'm still able to pick out my girl herself, along with the voice actor of Inosuke. And I mean, this is why you don't let me watch anime, because I will sound whore the shit out of it. Like, 100 times out of 100, bro. The Adotan deities only know peace. When this thing dropped, it dropped both episode 1 and episode 2, so I popped them in just to see what was up. And after watching the first episode, I was like, yo, where's my complimentary tab of acid watching this thing? I want to watch it and start tripping balls, dude. To me, I thought it was just going to be like a Dragon Ball Z fighting anime, and I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm totally down for this. Oh my god, I was so wrong. Then the whole second episode where they reveal the plot line for the whole season that will follow, and I was lost for words. Hooked right then and there. This thing's junk. And wait a minute. Dark undertones, sick fight scenes, trippy intro. Mappa, you beautiful bastards, you've done it again. That's the Mappa know-how. Adotan Deities truly is unhinged, especially Miku. Mappa really knows how to let loose. B tier. And let's see what we got here. Wait, Arabic dub.
لا شك أنكم علمتم أن مرامي قد بات الآن أمرا واقعا.
Went up to Duluth for a weekend visiting Ibra, and just before I left, we saw this, so me and Ibra decided to hop in and watch this thing, and it's based off a Saudi folktale, so no wonder why it got an Arabic dub. And this thing had cool battle scenes with legitimate war elephants, bro. But it also had its lows where we actually decided to skip through the show itself, but I think it had more highs than it actually did lows. I'm still gonna put this thing C tier though. The Promised Neverland.
Know your fucking place, trash!
This thing was never made, but if it was made, it was the biggest letdown since the second season of Tokyo Ghoul. This thing has been ripped to shreds by the anime community, so I won't dive into it. Instead, I will use the first episode alone as my evidence. Just watching the first episode when it came out nonetheless, it no longer had the same intrigue and the same suspense that was in there in the first season. All that just vanishes. And then you spend like the entire first episode looking for direction of where will the story go, and you get really nothing out of it. This season has single-handedly killed my urge to ever go back and watch the first season ever again, because I know what a monstrosity this thing will turn into. You are better off reading the manga, even if the manga kind of ends in the exact same way. As such, I give this thing war crimes against anime. Now get out of my sight.
1日5000円を5人分、計2回で5万円だそうです。お母さん、お兄ちゃんがやりました。
Damn, I guess Uesugi is a gigolo after all. The quintessential quintuplets. Your heart says Asuki, the introvert in you says Miku, yet your balls say Nino, while the streets in you say Ichika, but your brain knows it's gonna be the last girl standing, Yatsuba. The first season, I mean, you're truly rooting for Miku. Like, you just want your introvert goddess to get some. This season is just full of foundation for what its second season will actually be. God, quintessential quintuplets is so good to watch. B tier. The quintessential quintuplets second season. This is the season where I renounced my Miku faith and joined the Church of Nino. Thigh highs. Looking back on it now, I think Nino is the one who prepped me for Nagatoro. God, just wired it different. This is where the whole romance surfaces and conflict between the sisters emerges. Again, quintessential quintuplets, such a great watch, regardless of season it is. A tier. Saint's magic power is omnipotent. For this one, I spent the whole season grappling with what it should be. It's an isekai, yet it's really moe. So what the hell is it? Is it a romance, isekai, moe? Like, what are you? Only after the show is over did I finally realize exactly what this thing is. This show's a meme. This show is responsible for the creation of my reaction folder. And here's my only regret of the entire Mad Lad, is that I did not start my reaction folder sooner. Deep down, this show feels very slow and has legitimate potential to be amazing, but it's just taxiing on that runway, just waiting to take off. I do like the reverse harem in a show. Like, sometimes I just want to see a chick get a lot of dudes, dude. I mean, I just want different tastes in anime, even though I do limit myself on it. I think this thing's B tier. To Your Eternity. You watch the first episode, and you're hit with an experience unlike anything else out there. You're hit with A tier potential right out the gate. It has all the right moves in all the right places. By the time you reach Gugu, you're kind of just done with To Your Eternity. Like, you just want it to end. This thing slowly drags you over cactuses, bro. Painful lows. Sure, Gugu is probably the best character out of all of them, but I want this thing to end right now. Congrats, you know how to make your viewer feel like they're living forever like Fushi, dude. Then you get to episode 16, and then finally, much like My Hero, when you get Shigaraki's backstory, your couple months of waiting for dank shit to happen is finally over with one killer fucking episode. It was dark, it was fucked, brought me back in with must-watch anime. Also, that last episode of the season hit me real hard because my grandmother also went through a similar experience, and it really does suck to see that happen. I still can't believe this thing's getting a second season, and I still can't believe I'm coming back just to see if they elaborate on the very end of their fucking first season. C tier. Getting that sour taste of To Your Eternity out of my mouth, we now turn our attention to Tokyo Avengers. This is a fucking good show. It's like what happens when you bring in the Joe Bros with the whole concept of a race and the mystery of ReZero. You get something that is dope as shit. So much great mystery just caked into this thing. Also, by the end of the season, you're hit with a next level cliffhanger. Bro, cannot wait for the second season. One of the best anime out of 2021. On a closing note, nobody in anime takes a punch like Takamichi does. Like, most of the reactions I have of this man is around the time he's getting his ass kicked. And I swear to God, Takamichi gets his ass kicked every single episode. All in all, Tokyo Avengers is truly an A tier anime. Tower of God. This was like the first manhwa to get an anime adaptation, and much like Gleipnir, it's not the MC driving the story, it's not Bam. It's Kun. In all honesty, Kun is a way better plot driver than Bam is and could be if he just followed the reuniting with Rachel line. Like, the animation is also nice on this thing. I love the watercolor look of this thing. It's really beautiful. Also, at the very end, a top 10 anime betrayal, if you will. Fucking spectacular. Much like Jobless Rain, I was like, no way, get fucked, get fucked. I know Rachel is the bane of any weeb's existence out there, but this scene got me acting a wild, dude. So satisfying to see. You can't hate on Rachel for destroying a simp, dude. You just can't. Another great cliffhanger to end the season on. Easy A tier.
Wait a minute!
It's rewind time.
Tsukimichi, a Moonlit Fantasy. I'm not the biggest fan of OP characters who bodies everybody that they come across, but in all honesty, I didn't stay for Tsukimichi's pro tag. Nah, what I came back for every single week was the interactions between Tomoye and Mio respectively. They had great chemistry with each other, and I kind of want to see these two do more stuff together. That said, when Misame finally goes all out, it's fucking awesome. Talk shit, get hit, bro. Also, this thing has a really good special effect when they get into fight scenes. Like, they truly are works of art, similar to what Demon Slayer's fights actually are. Still, I gotta give Tsukimichi C tier. Tsuki Monogatari. Bro, I can't remember what happened in this one. Holy shit, looking back on it, I really don't remember this one at all. The only thing I can remember about this one is the fact that Dio voices one of the characters. I really need to go back and watch Monogatari. B tier, safe bet, because to me, Monogatari is a B tier anime franchise. Like, it is based and worth coming back to watch. Thus spoke Kashib Rohan. This is an OVA that kinda got a bigger anime adaptation into a few episodes, but it has all the same weird stories that JoJo has. But I've only seen roughly half the episodes, and I wish I could finish it because it's not even on Kick-Ass, and it got taken off of Netflix, so that's a real nut punch right there. I mean, this thing just kind of feels like watching Stone Ocean all over again, so with my limited knowledge, I'd give this thing a C tier. Uzaki-chan. First time watching this, I really didn't get into the whole relationship between Uzaki and Sakura, but what did drag me in was the whole just side acts of all the side characters. That to me was the reason why I stayed around Uzaki, but upon rewatching it, it wasn't as bad as I remember it being the first time around, and the animosity that Sakura had for Uzaki just turned into like a love-hate dynamic of bros, dude. So since it wasn't as bad as I remember it being, I kind of think this thing really is borderline between C and B tier, but I feel more guilty putting this thing in C tier than I do putting this thing in B tier, so B tier it is. Valkyrie Drive Mermaid. Ah yes, more Ake! First episode was like, yes, uncensored girl-on-girl action. And then the second episode was like, whoa, wait, what? It's censored! Wait, all of it's censored! So, god damn it, all of Valkyrie Drive Mermaid was fucking censored. Like, what kind of sick, depraved fuck deprives me of sick depravity, dude? But yeah, Ake was about all that Valkyrie Drive Mermaid had going for it. C tier. Vinland Saga. When this thing first dropped, Ibra wanted me to watch this, but this was also the time that Beastar's first season dropped, so, you know, those were my priorities were. But like a lot of other shows, I wish I did watch it as it came out, because this is awesome. I wish more animes had historical settings, because this was really good. What I liked most about Vinland Saga wasn't the Great Revenge arc, but was the whole adventure of Askeladd and his mercenary band. Because it's Askeladd who drives the plot for Vinland Saga. He's a tragic villain in a sense that you're supposed to hate him because of the pre-existing notion, but you can't help but feel for this scheming and cunning bastard. I love Askeladd's character. He's an opportunistic survivor hell-bent on his own safety, no matter who it costs for him. Also, Torkel's hilarious. This dude is so bored, he literally sided with the enemy only to put himself at a disadvantage so he could be entertained. Crack is a modest title for this animal. He is exactly like me watching anime. I just want to be entertained. That said, Vinland Saga, easily an A tier. Vivi or Fluoride Eye song. This thing is nuts. I expect nothing less from the same dude who created ReZero. But holy, is this thing just like Terminator. Like Skynet flips its tit and starts killing all of humanity and you gotta send Arnold Schwarzenegger back in time to help John Connor. To be fair, Schwarzenegger only wishes he was Matsumoto. Matsumoto literally is the anime version of James Woods' Hades in Hercules. The fast-talking, smooth-talking used car salesman who could sell you any anime in my Mad Lad better than I ever could. I expect nothing less from the same guy who voiced Koro-sensei in Assassination Classroom. This thing is dope as fuck. A phenomenal job by the people over at Wit Studio. I don't know what I was thinking. I definitely think this thing deserved A tier. Wonder Egg Priority. There's a lot to say about Wonder Egg Priority, like how most of it is actually good. But then you look behind the scenes and it's kind of a miracle that they actually had the season, considering all the creative problems that this thing ran into. Then you get the reveal that this one thing is responsible for all teenage girls' suicides rather than a multitude of other reasons like in real life. But you can't tell me episode 11 wasn't a holy shit kind of episode. Absolutely nutty. Then again, this thing had 2 recap episodes, and you know my rule on recap episodes. Sure, this thing was a hot mess, but it was still good to watch. B tier. World's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. This is coming from the same dude who did Redo of Healer, but unlike Redo of Healer, the degeneracy is turned almost all the way down and the plot got bumped up a tad. But watching this, you get the sense that there's this high quality story being told here. Like, you will see something amazing here. But this is a 1,000-piece puzzle, like you're slowly putting it together, and by the time the season ends, you're like seconds away from climaxing. Like, just when you're about to bust, the whole show goes bust. So you're just left with this feeling of like,
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Still, this thing was a solid watch and has the makings of greatness. I really do hope this thing gets a second season. B tier. Zuko or Monogatari. Yes! Finally! A part of Monogatari I remember! This is the freaking mirror world, and it really was an entertaining part of Monogatari to watch. On a last note, Aragi out here rocking the skirt. Fully committed to this bit. What a Chad. A B tier. Yeah, Monogatari definitely is calling my name. I should really go back and rewatch it. And there you have it, the Mad Lads tier list. You know, I did have an outro already pre-recorded for this, and then 3.5 months of editing happened, and it was deemed inefficient. I know. I could have done the split screen of the tier list with a face cam into the abyss, but that's just not entertaining to the audience. Plus, part of my job is to sell you on some of these shows too. I gotta put that econ major to good use somehow. You might as well call me the anime investor. I'd like to thank all of you who watched past, present, and future. I'd like to thank everybody involved in the creation of these shows with the exception of Promised Neverland second season. I'd like to thank those who, for the low price of demonetization, let me use their music. And for those who didn't, you know who you are. This is by far the worst part of the Mad Lad. But I learned a lot and I'm ready to do it again next year. Now that I got the formalities all taken care of. Yes! I can finally touch grass.